This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. These are 5 stories that we're following today. We find them fascinating. First, there's a story on United Airlines. United Airlines is down about 5% today that essentially says United's problems may be bigger than Boeing. And I'm not sure if that's clickbait or a real headline in Yahoo Finance, but a fascinating situation is United struggling in different ways. I hope not, because United is probably the carrier that I am on the most, flying out of Chicago the most. Second, Boeing's CEO decides that he's going to step down at the end of this year. And this is a fascinating story, and we'll have a separate podcast about this concept of sometimes it's right to have an operations-centered person as the leader of a company. Most companies bias towards sales and market-driven, market-facing CEOs. Sometimes a company needs to make sure its operations are so fantastic that it has a CEO that is one bit more operations focused. Boeing has always done a great job on the sales side, but it seems as though they're getting in more and more challenges on the manufacturer side, and they probably need this mix of a CEO that could be more focused and really understands fully the operations side. And we'll have a separate podcast on that concept. Third, Coinbase is up about 10% today. Bitcoin is up about 58% year to date. Simply amazing to watch some of these investors that held through the Bitcoin crises like Andreessen Horowitz and will really do well with it. The rest of us, I mean, at least people like myself, had a hard time living with the ups and downs and so forth. It'll bring us to another podcast later today on Core and Explore business, investment, and golf strategies. Fourth, Lucid Motors, which has been in the tank, is up today on news of a $1 billion investment, a much-needed $1 billion investment coming into Lucid Motor, and their stock has jumped today based on that. And finally, fifth, Abercrombie and Fitch. People have been talking about retail challenges, in-store retail challenges for a long time. It seems like we're again seeing more and more retail challenges as I watch what's going on with Abercrombie and Fitch and a lot of others. In any event, thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. We'll have 2 other podcasts today. One of this concept of the operator as CEO, driven by the Boeing story, and another podcast that's really about Core and Explore, discipline and impulse control, business, golf, spending, everything. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast.